Okay, so we went almost the page was empty. Okay, so what I have done is just typed this inside. Okay, so that's what has happened. So let me go through what I've done here. So first thing is I need always the application name, which you know that I already get it from the page context. I'm using the same logic. My controller name is admin/student. Okay, and this is a listing page, but nevertheless I'm trying to use an insert record here. So I'm saying create method. I've not completed this method, and I'm hyperlinking this to add a new student. Okay, so that's the link. Then if I'm checking if there is data in the list. Okay, you remember I had a controller. Okay, I think I call it a student controller. Okay, let me close everything. So only the ones that we need, because I have too many open files. So this is the JSP. So we'll go back and pick the student controller here. So this was the file. So in this list, you can see that I'm putting the data as student list. So this is where I should be reading it back from. So I'm trying to see if this list is empty. Okay? If this list is empty, I don't want an ugly table to come. That's all I'm trying to see. Okay? So if there is more than one record, then it makes sense for me to print a table. So I have a table here. I'm using the alternate color headings. Okay, so that's the list heading and list record. My student ID, my student name, my nickname, course is enrolled, and I want to have an edit and a delete name. Okay? So you can see that I'm using this Spring message. Actually, I can hard code it here and just say edit. Okay? But I want you to I want to demonstrate how you can do, just like FMT messages, you can also do Spring messages. Okay? So that's what I'm trying to demonstrate here. So I'll just leave it like that. So this is caption and it is called as edit. Where does this come from? This basically comes from the I18N messages properties file. So if you go into the I18N, cat is translated to Chinese and Hindi. Okay, so I'm going to delete that because we have not done any translation for simple as yet. Okay, simple, we don't have a menu. We can create a menu when you want. All this is cat's menu. But the title of the application, I've called it a simple application. Okay, all the rest we don't want at the moment. So if you want a welcome message, you can put in a welcome message. Okay, instructions, whatever you want. I only have a title for the application, which I'm using in the header. Then you can see these are the general captions that I will use pretty frequently. So in this case, I have this page is going to have a simple edit button and a delete button. So I'm going to pick up those messages which says edit and delete, which is caption.edit, caption.delete. Okay? So that is what I'm coming back and calling them here. This means I don't hard code like here. I can translate this page. That's all. Okay? So you don't have to do it, but this is how professionally we do it. When you do production application, you're not supposed to go and hard code pages in the JSP. You're supposed to pick up all these things from property files so that it's easy for them to translate the application. Okay? So it's important that you know, and it's important that you try it at least one of the screens so that you understand the mechanics. You don't have to do it in all pages. Okay, get the function running. These are cosmetics. Okay, so you have the edit and the delete title. So I have a for each, the standard for each that we did. Then I have the student list. I'm going through one by one. I'm printing all the data. And you can see I'm creating hyperlink. This time I'm simply using HTML hyperlink. I can use CURL. I can also use Spring URL. Okay, I'll show you all the alternatives when we put in one more example together. So these are alternatives. Right now I'm keeping it simple. It's just a hyperlink. Ahref is a HTML tag. It's going to click a path which is called as admin/student/edit, and it's going to pass the parameter which is student ID. Okay? And notice that you can do anything that you want. You can call it .jsf, .asp.net also if you want. .aspxs. Spring is flexible. Okay? Internally it knows it doesn't have to take what is your extension. It takes the .jsp because in the init file you have already declared it once. Okay? So this is fancy things because you don't want simple names lying around in the URL. Okay? People get very uncomfortable with that. So this is one of the standard cheat we are playing. Okay? We want to make an impression that everything is HTML while it is actually JSP. It only lasts one day, that's bad, and every time, lunchtime it goes. Okay, so we have, so that's the idea. Okay, so you want to make sure that you have some fancy extensions. I'm using it, that's fine. because it goes by parsing. So as long as the first few character matches, it usually ignores your extension. So on your browser, it looks neat like .html and all that, but internally it's all done by controllers and JSP classes. Okay, so that's the intention. So I have two URLs. I'm not wired anything. First thing I want to see is if the list page works. Okay? Then I'll slowly start changing things. So is there anything else that I should check? Of course, I should check the database, right? It is possible that my database doesn't have data. So I'm going to go to this database. I say select the table, which is student table, and see if there is any data. Yeah, it seems to have something. Okay, that's fine. In case you want to recreate this, I think I plugged it as an SQL during lunch, so you should find it here. Okay. So it's a simple table, and then there is some testing data. Now I know who is Mickey. Okay. I didn't know earlier. Now I know. So we have some 5 test data. So we're going to see if we can see this inside the listing page. You have any questions on this JSP structure? And now you know the controller is quite simple. What it is trying to do, it's trying to create a repository. It's finding all the records. Just for your sake, you can print and see, but this is also not needed. Okay, you can simply pass it on. Okay? You find the records, you pass it to your view. That's all you need to know. If you want to test if it works, you can put in debug points and see if you have records. Okay? So that's pretty much what I have here. Let's see if it works. Okay, so which means I have to restart my server. So go back to yes, expression language you mean, right? The dollar. Which one? This one? This is coming from the messages file. Oh, for the hyperlink, okay. Yes, exactly. You can. Right? Or if you really, you're very keen on bringing it from the message files, you don't have to use A. In that case, you can just say C URL, or spring : URL. Okay? Instead of this A colon, you can just say spring : URL, and then you can directly pick the messages. Okay? So that's possible. So that's how Spring allows you. Spring allows you to bring the labels directly from property files. Okay? So it's smoothly done, but since we have not gone to the tag library, I'm keeping it simple. Okay, so we just started, and now comes the finale. Let's see if it works. Open any browser that you want. Okay? So you should be saying http://localhost : 8080 / we called it simple. We called this module admin module / student. Then we are going to say list. Please come. Okay. So it's starting the framework. It's on a demo mode. Okay. That's why you can see there's so many debug statements. You can put this off when you go and tile it into false in the application.properties. Okay. So I like to debug because if something goes wrong, I like to have as much detailed error message as possible. I've tiled everything on. Okay. You can put these loggers off if you are quite confident that something is running. So let's see if this gets to a browser. Let's see how it works. Okay. So this is the application. Okay, so these are the records. The listing works. Okay. The next thing is I want to see if I can add a student. Okay, that's the next move that I want to do. So when I mouse over it, on the left hand corner, you will see the status that is coming in for each of these hyperlinks. So if you mouse over here, you can see localhost simple admin student / create. Is there any argument? No. Okay. But the same thing when you mouse over here and you say edit, you can see that it says /student / edit /1. So that 1 is the ID that gets replaced inside the URL. So that's what is dynamically generated. Okay. But if you want to send in parameters, you can use cparam or spring param. Okay. I'll do that as a next one. But here I am only passing one argument, so I'm keeping it directly on the URL. So I'm keeping it simple here. So the next thing we need to code is the create. Okay. But before that, I'm going to introduce another simple pattern, which is the service pattern. I'm going to show you what it is. Then we will refactor the code. Okay. See, normally when you try to write an application, okay, you have the controllers, you have the repository classes, which has got the JPA things and queries. Okay? And then you have the model classes, which has the mapping. These are the three components that we have generated in the morning lesson. Okay? Let me pause this so that I don't waste